It is war of different kinds happening all around the world. And yes, of course, the worst kind of war is where people are dying. But there are other wars happening. Let us talk about those. There are war between technologies, war between ideologies. But here, this kind of war that I'm going to talk about concerns us only as motorcyclists. Here in the motor pit, in the motor villa, I have two of India's best motorcycles. Let me correct myself. Completely made in India. Over here on my right is the Ultraviolette F77 Mach 2. And on my left is the TVS Apache RR310. Both of them have hearts. This one has an electric heart and this one has the heart that we all love, the petrol head status, a throbbing, revving heart. But am I comparing apples with oranges? But in the end, isn't the fundamental purpose of both fruits is to feed us? And of course, isn't the fundamental purpose of any kind of motorcycle to give us that joy? So am I not right to actually compare the best of both worlds of what India has to offer? Let's see. We all know that the TVS Apache RR310 has an internal combustion engine that produces 33 horsepower with 27 Newton meters of torque. But the recently launched Apache in 2024 actually has 38 horsepower with 29 Newton meters of torque, which puts this motorcycle a lot closer to the F77 Mach 2, which produces 40.6 horsepower. But this has 100 Newton meters of torque, which is more than 3 times the torque this bike produces. Well, that is the inherent advantage of electric motors that we all know, and we have gotten over that fact. So I would not take this as an advantage, real advantage that is, over the RR310, because there are other advantages that this bike has, at least for petrol heads. Well, let's get down to those. They offer a vastly different riding experience, although they might be in the same segment. The Apache RR310 will engage you more on the road with its traditional clutch and gear setup. Rev matching the gear shift is an unparalleled feeling. Plus, listening the revs build up, the vibrations, the smell of fuel, it all is a very wholesome experience, I can say. And it is not going to go away, at least in the current generation, which have grown up like me, riding ICE engine motorcycles.
Another key difference between an ICE and electric motorcycle is the drastically less moving parts inside the engine. And there's where the blood for the engine comes in. A shout out for our supporters Castrol Power One that ensures the Apache RR310 keeps running smooth and the internal components stay protected in all kinds of situations.
Well, if someone has always ridden horses like in the 1800s, and they will of course complain at how boring the ICE engines are, because they want to feel the hoofs, on the ground, that dusk, rising up, and all these kind of things. But doesn't mean that we will always be on horses. But what remains to be seen is that is electric better than the ICE engine revolution that we had seen in the last century? And that is something which again brings me to the point: are electric engines actually addressing the first problem at hand, which is making the planet greener and pollution free and going to a sustainable energy source, which we all know that it isn't, because the electricity that we have just used to charge the Ultraviolette here at the Motor Villa, where does that electricity come from? It definitely doesn't come from a renewable resource in all probability. So aren't we back to square one? Well, let's see what happens in the long run. 20 years down the line from today, 2024 that is, riding and owning a performance ICE motorcycle could be a privilege of the elites, like today you have horse racing and horse riding. But you may also need an ownership license and any of these things, which is rather improbable right now. Or the EVs could die, since the green revolution that they promised isn't really derived from green energy after all, like I just said. But is the solution a hybrid like the Kawasaki 7 HEV that I rode in Germany? Well, that was also very complex, so I don't think that is also the solution. I don't know what the solution is. All I know is that each one of us has limited time to ride a motorcycle and enjoy them, and we should definitely do that. It doesn't matter whether you're riding an EV like the Ultraviolette or the ICE-engined Apache RR310. Just ride. I think the Apache RR310 is the most beautiful motorcycle made in India. A lot of people mistake it for a 600cc, especially when I'm riding it out of India, for example, in Georgia and Armenia. They really have nailed this as far as the styling is concerned, and they have updated it further for 2024. I mean, the new Apache RR310 has a clear clutch cover, which is actually first in the segment. It also has winglets. Well, they provide 3 kgs of downforce, which is alright, okay. But it just, improved overall cosmetic look. The Ultraviolette, on the other hand, looks quite futuristic with flush panels and no nuts or bolts visible. Minimal decals, the front feels a bit like Street Fighter, but the RR310 exudes a raced thoroughbred sports bike look with the dual headlamps. But it comes down to your personal preference, what kind of motorcycle you ride. And I think in the end, both of them are sports motorcycles. They have full fairings, so that doesn't really matter. When we use the term futuristic, usually, for example, with the F77, it usually means that something like this is not really common right now as far as the design language is concerned. Well, now, since these kind of motorcycles are becoming more common, I don't know whether futuristic is going to be a term anymore, at least for the F77. The clear lines of the F77 with the rear aero disc and the whole nomenclature projects it's something like from the future. Sound of the F77, which again is generic to most electric vehicles, is something like from the Tron movie, and hence also gives us that feel that it's from the future. The Apache RR310 draws on the strengths of using a traditional ICE engine, and TVS's strength in racing really shows when you are handling the motorcycle, especially on a racetrack. But to see Ultraviolette F77 achieve this level of polishing and ride experience in such a short amount of time is commendable. The only thing which is stopping the F77 from becoming mass, or rather any electric motorcycle, is the charging network and the battery technology limitations of today. Even if TVS decides to come out with an electric Apache, for example, it is no guarantee that it will handle as well as this motorcycle, because when you're using a battery pack which is so heavy, center of gravity gets disrupted. And that is the biggest challenge which most electric motorcycle manufacturers face, which is not actually present in scooters like this BMW C04. They can place it on the bed, so the center of gravity still remains low. The Apache RR310 has very impressive set of electronics, and with the latest update it also gets the cornering ABS, which was already there in the RTR310 when it was launched. The Ultraviolette F77, on the other hand, is almost like a gadget. It has a lot of things going on, like from the battery management system to the Violet AI to their app, and so many features which rely on the internet. It's got an embedded LTE SIM card. So the thing is that our motorcycles are becoming like gadgets. ICE engine motorcycles can be ridden with without any technology whatsoever. So I think if we are to go back to the roots, I would really prefer an ICE motorcycle without any technology at all, just to experience what it was like in the beginning, when people used to get afraid of bikes like the RD350s. On the other hand, I'm not sure where the electric vehicles will go as far as the ecosystem is concerned, because all you need in them is a battery pack and the electronics. Where is the mechanical engagement? That is something I like to ponder upon. It takes a lot to make a brand successful. Ultraviolette is in a race with legacy manufacturers and companies who have much larger access to cash and resources. So what they have done is really commendable. On the other hand, manufacturers like TVS, with their experience and the foothold in the market, especially in India, they should also not consider customers as people who don't want innovations. No, we are looking for something balanced. We are looking for something new all the time. And of course, exciting, because that is what motorcycling is all about. Nevertheless, I love both of these motorcycles and I feel extreme pride when I show these bikes to anyone when I'm visiting out of India, including people in Europe or in Australia, where I've done so many rides in the recent past, and they are completely blown away. And they know that besides Royal Enfield, there are other Indian manufacturers completely made in India, including the brand itself, that are making world-class motorcycles like this. And yes, TVS is already exporting their motorcycles in Europe and other places around the world. And Ultraviolette, they have also recently opened in Turkey. And of course, like you have said, they will also probably go towards the bigger superbike route with the F99 that they exhibited at EICMA in Italy. So we are ready for global domination. All the best to Ultraviolette and TVS. In the end, it depends on you what you want. Do you want to be a petrol head or do you want to be an electro head?